Hi, I'm Steven the Calculator Guy, founder of DeFi Dojo Discord, and today we're going to look at Contango. Why? Well, a few reasons. One, Arbitrum L-tip rewards are live and you can go farm those on Contango. Two, Optimism Superchain rewards are live and you can go farm them on Contango. Three, not a lot of people know about Contango and it's a really cool leveraging protocol. And four, they have a points program and their TGE is going to be in about a month, let's say, and so we can talk a little bit about that. Without further ado, let's dive in. So what is Contango? Contango is a leveraging platform. If you go to trade, you can sort of see their trading front end, which is really kind of cool. It allows you to leverage as if you were using a perp dex. However, instead of using perpetual contracts, it literally just leverages the old-fashioned way. What does that mean? The old-fashioned way, or back in the day, they used to leverage by, and you can still do this, of course, by adding collateral on a lending market, borrowing some asset against that, converting that to your collateral asset, adding that as collateral, and then repeating the process. And in doing so, gaining leverage long exposure to your collateral and short exposure to whatever the borrowed asset is. Typically, people do this with a volatile asset as their long, and then they do it with stablecoins as their short to get leverage exposure to their long. Conversely, you can flip that process, have stablecoins as the long and a volatile asset as the short, to leverage short a volatile asset. Now, here, the cool thing about this is if you want to, like, let's just say, leverage your ETH without using perpetuals because you want to custody your ETH and still maintain that ETH without having just contracts and margin, you can go here and you can see all the different lending markets you can tap into, whether it be Dolomite, Silo, Compound, Aave, Radiant, Lodestar, Exactly, Compound. I think I said Compound twice. On all of these different chains, you can see the incentives as well. So you can leverage all of these different places. Looks like you're actually getting paid to leverage on Arbitrums. You can go 2x leverage, 3x leverage on these platforms and sort of see what your negative APR is. So effectively what you're paying in funding. And oftentimes you're paying less to borrow through these money markets than you would be paying to leverage through perpetuals, because funding rate on ETH is sort of typically very, let's just look at it. Let's go to my funding rate, compare, type in ETH. So right now you're paying between 9% to 21% to long ETH. Now, if you want to do 2x, right, long, let's go 2x long on Hyperliquid. Why not? You would be paying 43% just to be 2x long, 43% on your initial collateral. Here, going 2x long only costs you between 8%, or you can even get paid to do that on Dolomite, on Arbitrum. So you have all these options. It's really cool, and they're still your assets. It's your ETH being leveraged. It's not a contract. It's not USDC margin. You don't have to deposit into something. So I like that. It's really, really cool. It's just a very fascinating and interesting front end that automates the process of leveraging, utilizing the underlying money market. And you can leverage all the things that you might think to leverage. You can even leverage like pairs. So if you want to do like wrap staked ETH, you have that ability, wrap staked ETH here. If you want to do like SUSDE, USD, SUSD DAI, SUSD USDT, you can do this. You can leverage like pairs as well. Now, this is cool for traders. This is cool for people who just want to maintain a leveraged position or leverage exposure on chain, but I like the strategies. I am a DeFi user at heart, and really, this is where I go when I'm using Contango. So here, and the ETH yields, my portfolio is like all ETH right now. The ETH yields are super exciting. So what we have here is a bunch of yields ranging anywhere from like a few percent all the way to 57%, which is phenomenal. Now, if you don't care about like Arbitrum L-tip, STIP was so much easier to say. If you don't care about the Arbitrum incentives, you can unclick them and then see sort of the rankings, not including the incentives. But if you click it, then it will rank them according to the incentives. Now, you might be like me and be thinking, well, okay, I know that these are cool opportunities, but I also know they tend to have caps, which means they have a max amount you can lend or borrow or add as collateral. And I also know that with money markets, when you borrow, you increase or can increase the interest rate, which can make you enter into a position and then all of a sudden your position is negative because you've affected the cost to borrow. Well, the really cool thing here is that you can type in the amount of ETH you want to invest. Let's just say you have like $20,000. What is that? Like 7 ETH? So let's just say you have 7 ETH to invest. You can see what happened. All of the rates changed. Let's do that again. Let's go back to 0. You see the PE ETH, right? Now watch what happens. It goes down to 45% because what that does is it says, if you're at 7 ETH, you're borrowing effectively 7 times 5.5. Let's say 7 times 5, you're borrowing 35 ETH. That's going to affect the borrow rate. And now your effective APR is going to be 45.94%. How cool is that? It literally tells you what your new ROE or APR is going to be after you fully leveraged. So it calculates this for you, which is really fascinating. And then let's say you want to invest 10 ETH and you want to get at least 20% APR. You can see all of these opportunities still exist. Now, I like farming optimism incentives. I like farming Arbitrum incentives. These opportunities really excite me. Most of them are on Exactly or on Silo. Also, we have wrap staked ETH on Morpho Blue. How cool is that? This is like your very vanilla play. We were doing it a lot throughout the bear market where we would just leverage up wrap staked ETH, trying to squeeze out between like 8 and 12%. Now it's at 30% consistently and one of the most boring APRs you can get out there. I still like it as a strategy, still widely available and really, really good on base chain, 30%. So just good old fashioned leverage staked looping. And the cool thing is, as of today, Contango is taking no fees because they're still in like TGE pre-launch phase. So this is really like one click enter in, enter, exit without any swap fees or any exorbitant taxes on your capital. Okay, so let's look at creating a position. I personally like some of the PTs because you're leveraging a fixed rate yield on your collateral. The interest rate on the borrow will be volatile, but the interest rate on the collateral is not. That is a fixed rate, fixed date because it's a PT asset. If you want to learn more about Pendle, go watch my Pendle videos or go on to YouTube and type in Pendle. So many people have now created content about it. I was the second person ever to make a Pendle video multiple years ago. I still love Pendle, but nevertheless, the thing you want to watch out for is when the expiry is. So here, this one expires in 4 days. Well, 4 days on the recording of this video, maybe later when you're watching it. So probably wouldn't enter this one. Yes, the yield is fantastic. And if you really wanted to squeeze out like a couple bips of yield, you could do this. But I'm looking more towards the one that expires probably a little bit farther out. These are all 624. So maybe I'm not going to go for these. Well, here we go. There's one down here with not only some ARB rewards, but also Silo rewards. And on top of that, you're also getting exposure to, I guess, like Athena to some extent. So that's kind of cool. Silo rewards, Arbitrum rewards, PT, and it's, far out, all the way in 924. So you could hold this for a long time. I'm probably going to go for like wrap staked ETH on Silo. This is a nice yield. Or for wrap staked ETH or our ETH on Silo, or wrap staked ETH on Morpho Blue. These are the ones that sort of appeal to me in this sort of 10 ETH, 30% range. And so let's just click on wrap staked ETH on Morpho. So wrap staked ETH on Morpho looks like you would have to enter in your leverage, or doesn't look like that. You do have to enter in your leverage. Now, word to the wise, you always want to know your underlying protocol. So in this case, the underlying protocol is, well, Morpho Blue. So you would want to go to Morpho Blue and look at the borrow costs to ensure that you will not be getting hit by some exorbitant interest rate. Let's go to borrow. Let's go to base chain, switch to base. And then let's look at that exact market. So which market is that? That is the wrap staked ETH Morpho Blue market, 94.5% E1 on base chain. Let's go find that. So we're looking at search market, wrap staked ETH, looking at the 94.5 E1. So it is this one. I can tell you it's this one. They have two markets here. This one has no liquidity, but E1 typically indicates the type of oracle they use. So we're going to click on this. You should also know the oracle. So here they're using the exchange rate. That's fantastic. What that means is they're using a fundamental NAV oracle, effectively meaning that instead of using the market price of wrap staked ETH, which can go up and down, they're using the redemption price. So here we can see the historical borrow cost. There was a spike here up to 10%. You would have been negative that day, but typically it is a very forgiving interest rate. If we go to the past, let's just say 1 month, we can see that is, we had a spike up to 10% and then a spike up to 3%, 3.24%. You would not have been negative during 3.4%, but you would have been negative during the 10%. So do be mindful. If you wanted to do this on Ethereum, there are also a number of different strategies there. Apparently not. There are. Let's go to wrap staked ETH. And here you can see the different markets there with a lot of available liquidity. So let's look at the 94.5 with $4.6 million to borrow. Borrow APY. 2.4, this is going to be positive. Ooh, big spike recently. Interesting. So do be mindful of the borrow rates. They can go up and down. This one has been pretty low, but you should know what you're getting into. So anyways, 9x leverage. If you had 5 ETH, The cool thing is it will tell you what the swap entry price is. So here, estimated entry price 1.17, which is very close to current price, actually almost identical. And your time to break even would be 2.21 days. It's going to continue. Oh, Odos, they have Odos. Odos is my favorite DEX aggregator by far. If you haven't used Odos, go check out Odos. It's such a good DEX aggregator. But anyways, here you can see no flash loan fee, no trading fee, 5.94% liquidation buffer, which means wrap staked ETH would have to depeg 5.94%, or your interest would have to increase 5.94% on your debt position before you get liquidated. You could go really high leverage, still 2.51% of accruing interest, very hard to get to, or, but you're not exposed to depeg. So that's kind of cool. You're using an NAV oracle. I like this. These are really cool. Tells you what your ROE is. This is your APR effectively, and your year over year return. Also like that, so on 5 ETH, after a year of holding this position open, you would get 1.5 effectively ETH out of this position, all else equal. So if the interest rate stayed the same and if the staking rate of ETH also stayed the same. Those two things are probably going to be variable, but typically when I open a position, I'm just looking to get maybe between 4 to 5% out of a strategy. I call that a home run if I do. So there you go. And of course, super easy to enter. Just if you have the collateral in your account, you'll be able to click approve and then leverage and then bada bing, bada boom. You're in and you're getting points for opening that position. Okay, so that's ETH in a nutshell. There's also USD denominated strategies. So if we go over here, do USD rates, you can see that there are a few available for you to leverage. Here we have, oh my gosh, USDC, USDT on Dolomite. Now there's plenty for you to leverage, but if you start to, let's just say, get into the 2000 range, those interest rates are going to start going down. And you see like now that USDC, USDT rate is down here, it's only 8%. So clearly it's a very thin market. Yes, there's a lot to put in there, but you're going to affect the borrow cost quite a bit when doing so. Nevertheless, Dolomite USDCE USDC, 25% overall, plus 7.82 incentives. So really you're farming the incentives there. 30% of stables, not bad. I don't know what sexy DAI is. Apparently it's some version of DAI you can use on Gnosis chain. I'm not sure when the last time people used Gnosis chain. They had a really cool SDAI thing. Could be worth checking out once more. Lodestar, all of these different opportunities for you to look at. And if you're not interested in incentives, just unclick this and see what the highest one without incentives would be. Now, there's also points. So if you are a points maximalist, which I once was, then I got burnt a couple times, made a couple huge wins. I think Renzo and EtherFi were like massive wins for me. And then a few of the other ones were less so wins for me. But if you are interested in farming points, there is EtherFi season 2 about to end like next week. And then Renzo ends next month. So it could be a good season 2 to farm. And here you go. Looks like you're actually making money on this, which is crazy, but this is leverage. This is leverage. So easy ETH USDC means that you are going to have leveraged exposure to ETH as well as leverage exposure to easy ETH. So maybe you don't want to take on too much leverage there because if ETH goes down, you could get liquidated. Whereas wrapped EtherFi ETH, you're paying 24 cents per day, which is honestly isn't bad per $1,000, but you're getting 42.41 eigenlayer points per day plus 53,000 EtherFi points per day. And if you have that 2x multiplier, you're getting over 100,000 EtherFi points per day, which is pretty cool. This is a 3x multiplier here on Contango. So anyways, if you do want to do some point farming, these are all available to you as well. It tells you what the cost effectively is for those points per day, which is pretty cool. Also, if you want to invest like $10,000, it tells you what your cost to borrow would be. So here you're getting $3 per day. Here you're getting $3. Here you're actually making 21 cents per day per $10,000 on USDT, which is kind of cool. Down here you'd be paying, but paying $2 per day to leverage some of these things might end up being worth it with those points, depending on what your own thesis is. Nevertheless, do your own diligence on what you want to do. I'm just trying to show you what this platform does and how you can use it. So once you enter a position, you will have made some points. You will have the position open, easy to close, easy to enter, no fees on entering, no fees on exiting, but you are still using a swap mechanism for those assets, for like that flash loan swapping and then getting in, and you will have to pay that fee, right? It's not a Contango fee like Odos. Odos is aggregating a bunch of different dexes. Whatever the fee to swap on Odos is, or that dex that Odos is aggregating is, you will pay that. So do be mindful that there is some cost to leverage, and that exists no matter where you leverage. You're always going to be dealing with that specific cost. So that's really it. We could get into Otango, but I want to dedicate a specific and differentiated video to that itself. If you wanted to have known about Contango from forever ago, or if you want to learn more about strategies, join the DeFi Dojo Discord. We're constantly talking about these things. We have a very own dedicated channel just to L-tip rewards, going out and farming them. And yeah, so hope to see you there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Steven the Calculator Guy, and have a wonderful rest of your day.